Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 6 p.m. here in Cairo. Time to have a look on the latest stories from Channel 2. I'm Abir Mitwali. I'll be presenting the news bulletin. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi meets with the visiting United Arab Emirates President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed. Palestinian death toll of Israeli assault on Gaza rises to 29 since dawn. And Trump to push Netanyahu on Gaza peace plan at White House meeting. Welcome back. The news in detail. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and United Arab Emirates President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan on Monday welcomed U.S. President Donald Trump's plan for halting the war in the Gaza Strip. Following a meeting with the two presidents held at Al-Ittihadiyya Palace in Cairo, the two leaders said the peaceful initiative is important for paving the road for a comprehensive and durable peace in the region. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi stressed that bilateral relations between Egypt and the United Arab Emirates are deep and strong, hailing remarkable development in mutual cooperation, notably investments and trade. The head of state also said Egypt is keen on removing obstacles facing United Arab Emirates investments in the country. Two leaders held an extended meeting joined by their respective delegations, followed by a closed-door bilateral meeting. Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed praised enhanced investment climate in Egypt, saying it reflects the efforts exerted to advance business climate. And earlier, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received United Arab Emirates President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed at Cairo International Airport. A reception ceremony was held for the Emirati President, also at the Presidential Palace. The Emirati President is on a brotherly visit to Egypt in reflection of establishment historical relations binding the two countries since the establishment of the State of the United Arab Emirates by late President Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan. Minister of Defense and Military Production General Abdelmajid Saer asserted keenness on pushing cooperation forward with Somalia in different military fields. At a meeting with visiting Somali Defense Minister Ahmed Muallim Faqih and his accompanying delegation, General Saer also hailed historical ties with the Horn of Africa countries. The meeting discussed means of enhancing military cooperation between armed forces of both countries and ways to support security and stability efforts across Africa. Armed Forces Chief of Staff General Ahmed Khalifa attended the meeting. For his part, the Somali Defense Minister hailed Egypt's sincere efforts to achieve security and peace for all African nations. And to Gaza, Palestinians were killed in continuous Israeli occupation bombardment across the Gaza Strip since Monday dawn, pushing death toll higher in the nearly two-year war. Israel has launched a military offensive in Gaza City in recent weeks, forcing hundreds of thousands of people to evacuate and putting remaining hundreds of thousands of residents at jeopardy. Al-Shifa Hospital in the northern key urban hub reported receiving at least 20 dead bodies in last few hours. Medical emergency sources also reported retrieving 9 dead bodies in residential districts in the Gaza City as Israeli tanks thrust deeper in the center of the city, advancing towards the main Al-Shifa hospital. The balanced Israeli aggression has raised the death toll to at least 66,005 Palestinians, mostly are civilians, since October 2023. U.S. President Donald Trump will meet Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House for talks aimed at reaching an agreement on the U.S. plan for peace in the Gaza Strip. Trump's plan was reportedly amended by the Arab countries that received a copy of it. On September 9th, the Israeli army targeted Hamas leaders in Qatar, which has played a role in mediating deals to end the war, disrupting ceasefire efforts even further. Israeli media reported Israeli preparations for a military assault on a Gaza-bound aid flotilla are made in an attempt to prevent it from reaching the blockaded Palestinian enclave. The global Sumud flotilla, which includes 50 ships and around 400 activists, departed from Barcelona area this month and is expected to reach Gaza in 4 days with the aim of delivering humanitarian aid to trapped Palestinians. The European Union urged Israeli occupation authorities in the West Bank to reopen the Karma border crossing between the Palestinian territory and Jordan for both passengers and shipping. A statement said that Israeli closure of the crossing in September 23rd negatively impacts the free movement of people as well as humanitarian response to Gaza. And to Ukraine, President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Monday that Ukraine would like to build a joint aerial defense shield to protect against threats from Russia together with its European partners. NATO leaders have said that Russia has been testing the alliance readiness and resolve with airspace incursions in Poland and the Baltic states, and Kiev says its experience in dealing with aerial threats would be valuable. He said in an address to the Warsaw Security Forum delivered via video link that Ukraine proposes to Poland and all partners to build a joint fully reliable shield against Russian aerial threats. Asked about Donald Trump, Zelensky said the U.S. president's attitude to Ukraine and security in Europe had changed. U.S. President Donald Trump's envoy has floated the possibility of long-range strikes by Ukraine against Russia with American weapons following the administration's recent pivot on the conflict. Meanwhile, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance has said that Washington was having conversations on whether to give long-range Tomahawk cruise missiles to Kiev, a request Trump has previously denied. Russia has vowed to press on with its offensive in the 3.5-year-long conflict, with the Kremlin recently dismissing Trump's claim that the country was a paper tiger with a floundering economy. Moldova's pro-Western governing party won a clear parliamentary majority, defeating pro-Russian groups in an election that was widely viewed as a stark choice between East and West. With nearly all polling stations, reports counted on Monday, electoral data showed that the pro-EU Party of Action and Solidarity, or PAS, has 50.1% of the vote, while the pro-Russian Patriotic Electoral Bloc has 24.2%. The Russia-friendly Alternative Bloc came third, followed by the populist Our Party. The right-wing Democracy at Home Party also won enough votes to enter parliament. The tense ballot pitted the governing PAS against several Russian-friendly opponents, but no viable pro-European partners. Electoral data indicate the party will hold a clear majority of about 55 of the 101 seats in the legislature. The European Union confirmed today that it had reimposed sweeping sanctions on Iran over its nuclear program after the United Nations reinstalled its overreaching measures. The sanctions reintroduced by 27-nation bloc include UN measures barring dealing with Tehran's nuclear and ballistic missile activists. But they also range broader to encompass financial measures, including freezing assets of Iran's central bank. Tehran has condemned as unjustifiable the reinstallment of the United Nations sanctions. The UN took that step over the weekend after Western powers triggered the so-called snapback mechanism under the 2015 nuclear accord. The foreign ministers of North Korea and China agreed to deepen bilateral ties and pledged mutual support and enhanced cooperation. Their meeting in Beijing came about 3 weeks after North Korea leader Kim Jong-un and Chinese President Xi Jinping held their first summit in more than 6 years. In a meeting with her Chinese counterpart, the North Korean top diplomat cited Kim as saying that further bolstering ties with China is North Korea's unwavering position. Officials from both countries said a typhoon that ripped roofs of homes has killed dozens of people across Vietnam and the Philippines as a weekend storm Bulai crossed into neighboring Laos. Also, Philippine civil defense officials said the typhoon's death toll there had more than doubled to 24, with most of the victims either drowned or hit by debris.
A typhoon that ripped roofs of homes has killed dozens of people across Vietnam and Philippines. Officials from both countries said on Monday as a weekend storm Bulai crossed into neighboring Laos. The typhoon battered small islands in the center of Philippines last week, toppling trees and power pylons, unleashing floods and forcing 400,000 people to evacuate. A Philippine civil defense official said on Monday the death toll had more than doubled to 24, with most of the victims either drowned or hit by debris. Scientists warn the storms are becoming more powerful as the warm warms due to the effects of human-driven climate change. In Vietnam, Palau made landfall at the typhoon late on Sunday, generating winds of 130 kilometers per hour. Vietnamese authorities said on Monday thousands of houses and businesses were damaged or destroyed as the country enters its center and north of the cyclone. The Environment Ministry said that more than 53,000 people were evacuated to schools and medical centers converted into temporary shelters. Airport authorities said 4 domestic airports and part of the national highway were closed on Monday. More than 180 flights have been cancelled or delayed. Since making landfall in Vietnam, Palau has weakened it as it moved across the border in Laos. It came on the heels of Super Typhoon Ragazza, which killed 14 people across the northern Philippines. The country is hit by the average of 20 storms and typhoons each year, routinely striking disaster-prone areas where millions of people live in poverty.
Welcome back, and now let's have a closer look on the world of business. Egypt's bourse closed higher today amid purchases by local corporations against sell-offs by Arab and foreign corporations, as well as local Arab and foreign investors. The market capital of listed companies added 21 billion Egyptian pounds, crossing 2.5 trillion pounds at the end of an average transactions of 28.9 billion. The benchmark index EGX 30 rose 0.6%, above the 36,390 point mark. The equal weighted indices EGX 70 and 100 both surged 1.2%. In commodity market, oil prices retreated today on speculation that Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and Russia, known as OPEC Plus, will increase output, fanning concerns of a glut. London's Brent North Sea crude 1.7% at $68,000 a barrel, and U.S. West Texas Intermediate dipped 1.9% at $64.47 per barrel. Meanwhile, gold's price hit an all-time peak just short of $3,820 on ounce over concerns about the possible U.S. government shutdown and on expectations for more rate cuts.